Welcome to Invincipod, probably the best podcast about the Amazon TV series Invincible on the internet. I'm James.
I'm Ralph.
And today we have Invincipod presents Invincible presents Atom Eve special. Or just Atom Eve? Is it the special episode?
Everything says special episode, and I think that's what we put on our album art, but I think it's just called Atom Eve.
I think it is, yeah. I mean, I call it that.
Atom Eve.
Yeah, I've been calling it that because the comics that this is mostly adapting were put out as Invincible presents Atom Eve.
Okay, so that's my first question.
Yeah, there was a few different Invincible presents like miniseries that span out of Invincible.
I don't think I've read those.
Whoa, okay, that's going to make this really interesting then.
Because my question was, do we know this story already? Have we heard this story?
And so I did my read through last year now, and then reread like the end of it again, like just after a couple of months ago when we did our last special episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I read through Invincible. I didn't read this. I didn't read. There's another one that I'm going to talk about later on. That also is another Atom Eve one. There was actual like spin-off series like Guarding the Globe.
I remember when
they tied
Guardians of the Globe became Guarding the Globe.
Yeah,
there was some sort of weird legal stuff that happened. I don't know. It didn't matter.
No, it didn't matter at all. There was those. There was Tech Jacket tied into it, but wasn't really a spin-off because he'd already written that. Astounding Wolfman, which we've talked about a lot, is like the ultimate one. Yeah. Brit tied in, all of these other Kirkman superhero properties. He created a whole universe out of them. But these were put out as specials. I think they were like little 2-issue things, and then they did a trade of the 2 Atom Eve special things. Yeah.
So this was all new to me. Awesome. And I was super excited about it. But before we do that, let's get to a little bit of news, because on I think it was Friday, late at night, I got a text message sent to me by Stevie because I was shooting. She sent me the Mortal Kombat 1 character skin pack trailer thing. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Why?
is it Arnold again? They did Arnold, and that was kind of cool. But then it was like the thumbnail was Peacemaker. Okay. So I'm like, oh, that's cool, and it looks like John Cena. And so I pop open the video, and it's Omni-Man. It's Nolan.
Yeah. Through most of the trailer, like it's really focused on him.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but then you see Homelander, and it kind of makes sense. Like, Mortal Kombat got in touch with Amazon because they probably wanted Homelander, but they were like, "What about?" I don't know.
I think Mortal Kombat is like a Warner Brothers property, which would tie in with like a lot of.
They do like Get Justice, and Peacemaker makes sense.
Yeah, Peacemaker makes sense, and I feel like because The Boys is Amazon, isn't it? And The Boys was an Image series as well. I don't know.
Was The Boys an Image, or was it Vertigo?
No, I don't think it was Vertigo.
But it doesn't.
I can't remember.
Like, it didn't make sense. Out of everything you're going to introduce, to have Nolan be the first thing to show up, I was like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the last time I got a Mortal Kombat game. I think it was Mortal Kombat 1 for Sega CD.
The original Mortal Kombat, like
Yeah. This is Mortal Kombat 1.
Yeah. I think I definitely played the original. I think I played some of 2, but I don't think I owned it. I think I just played it. It was one of those games that I'd rent from Blockbuster.
My friends had it.
Yeah. It was a good game if you had friends around, sort of thing.
So here's the thing. If the Mortal Kombat guys out there want me to buy Mortal Kombat 1,
this is the way to do it.
They're getting close.
Yeah.
And with Peacemaker even closer. I don't watch The Boys, but I'm aware of Homelander. Mm-hmm. But you put in Mark, and I'm buying this game.
I was expecting Mark to pop up in there as well. But then it's like, are they doing this is all character pack 1, and these are all like essentially like bad, morally gray. Oh, I mean, Homelander 100%.
These are all the three comic book characters that I'm familiar with. The other two might be, or three might be Mortal Kombat. I don't know who they are.
I'm not sure.
There's one that kind of looks like a scarecrow, and one that but the three comic book characters are all from properties that are sort of known for blood, like whether it's the Suicide Squad,
100%,
Peacemaker, and
like
Peacemaker
questionable
and
morals, or like, because I mean, Homelander
right.
and Nolan are like, they're pretty similar in terms of the way that they've been portrayed so far on TV.
So that makes sense. Get the dude bros in there, but dude, if they get Mark, if Mark's a playable character,
so cool, right?
He's my main. I'm gonna do whatever. I don't care if his controls are messed up. I don't care whatever it is.
I'll learn
That's what I did with Injustice. I did that with Green Lantern. I'm like, I don't care.
Yep.
And that was it. I played as Green Lantern. And what they did with Hal Jordan, they did a skin for John Stewart. But what was great is they left the same, but the moveset with with slightly different variations on the constructs and stuff. So if they release Mark, I will definitely get like the ultimate version once all the downloads are the digital downloads are done, and they pack them all into one like low cost package worth like $40 and you get all the downloads.
Or even if it was just like an Invincible pack, like, that would be enough for me, I think.
Oh my god. I mean, it'd be if it's five people, who are you picking? But it's obviously Nolan and Mark.
Nolan, Mark, Eve. Yeah, 100% Eve. Alan.
You got two more. Alan? Oh, that's a good one.
And you gotta have another bad guy in there. I'd go with like Thrag or Conquest or something.
I like Thrag. I think Conquest.
But then you're maybe leaning a little bit too hard on Viltrumites. Robot, potentially. Robot could be interesting. But then I feel like you need someone like bad. You need a bad guy. But most of like the big bads that I can think of, they're like, there's tons of bad guys you could choose from, but like the ones who would be like of that level, you'd want it to be a Viltrumite.
Is it Dinosaur? Who's the T-Rex?
Dinosaurus or something.
Destroys Vegas.
Yeah, Dr. Dinosaurus or whatever his name is.
Oh, that'd be a great level too.
Yeah,
fighting in Vegas,
and then like glassed out Vegas, like halfway through
have it like change, like during a like you can like go to different levels, like you
can alter it
level.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, if he starts like getting all the way through, or maybe that's his like finish him move is he just glasses everything.
Or let's throw this out there: a Marvel Ultimate Alliance game set in the Invincible universe.
Well, they've talked about it. Like obviously this was the first big announcement of Comic-Con weekend. But they've talked about how like they're all in on Invincible at the moment. Like this isn't the show. It's such a weird thing because we watch it, we love it, we talk about it, and whenever it comes up from people, that it's nothing but glowing. But I don't know if it's just a thing of it just being off air for so long now, but like it doesn't get talked about that much, and that's part of the joy of it. I think that you and I find, because it's like there isn't the Minox out there, the people who are just ruining it. Just whenever anyone's talking about it, it's with joy. So
right.
But I don't know. But it's clearly doing well for them, and they are Skybound are all in on it, and Amazon as a sort of not necessarily a parent company, but as a backer, they're all in on it. So
here's the thing: they made 8 episodes of Invincible, 6, 8.
I think it was
something
8.
like that. I think it was 8. And they were great. They were great. And I watched this Adam Eve special, and it's something happened in the last 2 years with the animation, and it still looks like the same show.
Yeah. And
I think the animation is very similar, but not to jump ahead too much, but the action in it
I've got
amped the fuck up.
Yeah.
The action was like
that highway fight, like holy crap.
Like it's like that's what they've been spending the last 2 years on is working out how to, like, we're all good with the animation in season 1. It looks great.
I really enjoyed it. But I know that was the one thing that a few of my friends who sort of really are into animation a lot more, they can see it more than I can. Like, I just don't have that eye. I can't see certain things that look bad. I saw it and I was like, this looks like the comic book. I love this. But then there were certain things, and there were certain things that people were like, the show is amazing, but the animation in places was a bit ropey. And I'm like, okay. It wasn't for me, but okay.
No, so it's a little bit of a minimal approach where you have like a character static with the mouth moving and stuff, and zoom ins and kind of camera moves, so you don't have to actually move the characters that much, and you can do it cheaper. You can do those anime things where somebody punches, it's a still frame with like moving lines behind it, stuff like that. But what this episode did with the animation during the fight scenes, it kept the rest of the show looking like season 1
show,
but the animation, they brought in so much more movement. They brought in CG buses and trucks and stuff. It was really dynamic, but a lot of dynamic movement from the characters, and a lot of like great poses and stuff. And what it reminded me of is the Invincible comic book, in which it looks like a comic book. Like Cory Walker and Ryan Ottley's art is amazing.
There'll be repeat panels when they need to, like,
right. And it's brightly colored. Was it Crabtree?
Bill Crabtree.
I don't know who. Yeah,
for most of it, FCO Palimpsest or whatever his name is. FCO did a lot of Ottley's run as well.
It looks like a really great Silver Age Spider-Man level colors. It's nice and bright and stuff, and like stuff like that, and it's very very neat, nice lines. But when it gets to the action, that's when Ottley goes nuts with the details and the blood, and really, really, folks, those action scenes are so dynamic on the page, because you're lulled into this sense of, I'm just reading a comic book, and next you open up a splash page and all of a sudden it's a dude's head getting caved in. So with the action in this episode, I was like, it's almost like Ottley. It's almost like we're gonna do this sort of minimalist, like, character style, and then when the action hits, we're gonna just blow you away. And it made it the most exciting superhero action stuff I've seen probably since Iron Man.
The same note, maybe not since Iron Man, but I've got here the highway fight, and I was like, best superhero fight in years, like in any medium. It was phenomenal. You talking about my camera's going crazy.
It's excited.
I'm too animated apparently. Let's turn that off.
In your aura.
It really is. You were talking about how it feels like it goes to Ottley, and that's something that I feel like the comics did well throughout the run. Like, we'd occasionally get issues, even when Ottley was the main artist, we'd get some issues where it reverted back to Cory Walker if Ottley needed a month or two off or something, or to get ahead on a big action scene normally. And you talking about it would go to a splash page of some dude's head being exploded. You'd also get those big splash pages where it's like the background is a big splash of a battle going on, and then there'd be tons of tiny panels, but like you can tell that he drew them full size and they've been shrunk down for the page of bits of battle that are going on. And it was like quick cut stuff. It gave the impression of a quick cut action scene to this backdrop, and that was amazing. And then in the last few issues, I think the last issue in particular, where they tag teamed that issue, like that was Cory Walker and Ryan Ottley, and you'd get stuff where it was like Cory Walker was doing all the family drama bits and bobs, which essentially a lot of season 1, and then you'd get Ottley coming in and doing battle scenes because that is his specialty. He does it better than anyone else. And this episode felt like that. You have the sort of the more Cory Walker stuff, and then you'd have the Ottley stuff. And I'll tell you, in that fight scene, we're just jumping straight ahead to it because wow. It was the moment that she sort of clicks her heels a couple of times. And I paused it then, and because I've been taking notes for this episode, and I was like, oh, I love that. That's another nice little touch that we've never seen her do before. I don't think it's something from the comics. There's something they've done for this show. And she just sort of like just taps her heels a little bit, does a little bit of a shimmy. Like it felt like Morpheus when he does his little back thing in the dojo.
It's almost like she was like amping up power or something. Like she's running her feet
reloading
across the
her
carpet
fists like she's
like,
in Mission Impossible. It's the equivalent of that. And then it is full on until the end of that fight, and it doesn't let up. It's amazing. If you haven't watched it, Mark's here and he's supporting the live show, but he's not seen this yet. Just jump ahead to that fight if you've only got 10 minutes to kill or something. Like wow.
No. Here's
Watch the whole thing, obviously.
Watch the whole thing. Here's the thing. So I was kind of farting around last night watching bullshit TV.
Yeah.
And I knew we had to watch this. And I'm like, I'm going to save it to I didn't want to watch it this morning. I don't want to get up early and watch it. So I'm like, I'm just going to watch it. I'm going to wait as late as I can before I go to bed and watch it. And I go to turn it on. And I said, it's got to be like 15 minutes at tops. Like, I'm like, what is it? It's only going to be like 5 minutes. I'm going to pop it on.
I thought maybe 25. Like,
it's 55 minutes.
It's like
nobody said that this thing was like longer than a regular episode of Invincible. And I was like, oh shit, I guess I'm staying up a little later than I thought. And but as soon as I turned it on, I was like, oh man, I'm so excited that this is so long. And I can't wait to see this story. Because again, I was like, I don't think they've ever told the story of Adam Eve. Well, now I got new Invincible to read.
Yeah, you do.
And so I was like, okay, shit, okay. And so we're sitting there watching it, and Stevie's like, isn't Eve's dad like a fucking asshole drunk? And I'm like, yeah, that's like the one thing I remember about Adam Eve is her dad's a fucking dipshit.
Dick, yeah. And her mom's just essentially an abused wife. Like, yeah.
And I don't know. I have to read the other thing. I'm gonna have to pick your brain on if there's differences like the way
it's been Invincible a long time. It's been years.
Yeah. But I'm like, the dad in this is just an asshole to be an asshole. He just fucking sucks.
Like at first you sort of get it because they seem like loving parents when she's very, very young before she starts developing her powers and things. They're a little bit concerned that she's definitely like a bit of an outcast. She's sitting off, but they seem like loving parents. It seems everything's great. And it was like, oh, this is really nice. But in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, this isn't how it plays out. And that's really sad. And then again, even at first, when he's like, you're weird, you're different. I was like, it's that typical, the parent doesn't understand sort of thing. It's a very X-Men story, this origin story. The origin story, it is what Invincible does better than everything. It's a typical origin story. It's a fairly typical origin story. It's like the whole thing with Invincible is it'll do superhero tropes. It'll play them out.
Yeah.
And it'll do them perfectly. It'll like take every version of this and just be like, this was the best bit of that. This was the best bit of that. This was the best bit of that. Here is the best version of this trope. Yeah. And then it lulls you into this false sense of security that you have so that when it does do something surprising, you're genuinely surprised. You don't see it coming. You're not expecting that to happen or that heel turn or whatever it is. Like you don't expect it because you think you know this story already because they've done it the way you know it for so long.
Yeah.
And this does that. And it mostly sticks to it, but it just builds it up so that like going forward, you feel like you know who Eve is. And then, I mean, there's stuff with Eve coming up. And then seeing that it was like, okay, her dad doesn't really understand her. That's sad, but I'm sure that he'll come around when they can better communicate. It's all just like, you know, it's teenage adolescence. Parents just don't understand, or don't understand. Parents just don't understand. And it is that, but then it's like, nope, he just doubles down on it and he is just an asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, but then you think back to that scene where they feel like they think they have lost their own baby. And even then, it's like some of his words that he's trying to say that are comforting. You think about it, it's like, even that's pretty shitty. Just like bad things happen. It's like, yeah, they do, dude, but not the time, not the place, really. That's probably not the most comforting thing you can say to your wife there right now. Like,
right.
I don't know. Yeah.
He's just a piece of shit. He
is just a piece of shit. It's fine to hate that guy.
Yeah. It's great to see the Guardians of the Globe in their heyday.
Yeah, it really sets the time frame. Like it's like that's how this special opens, and it's like, okay, here's where we are. Like they're all still around, they're still alive.
Yeah, and Green Ghost is the man in this one, right? Green Ghost was a woman in
They
Because Green Ghost was a model and she took the pill, right?
I can't remember.
In Invincible,
Yeah, that
I
sounds right.
believe so.
Like because they gender switched Shrinking Ray,
Mhm.
who like becomes one of the Guardians later. Um, so I can't remember which way around
I'm
they did
trying
it.
to. I believe Green Ghost was a woman in Invincible
I think you're right.
in that first episode, and
Could
he
have been
was
a
a man in this
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Like I'm wondering if it's like Green Lantern Corps, where it could be anybody.
There are
But
multiple.
it's so
Yeah.
funny that they take a pill, which is it's just a crack up to me. We get the Lizard League.
Yep. There's like we get a few of the sort of the classic bad guys. Like
Yeah,
I can never remember the names of Invincible Rogues Gallery because there's
there's
tons
a
of them. Like,
lot.
and they get like introduced and then like killed off or beaten a few panels later quite often. And it's just like, oh wow,
Right.
that's great. Like, so
Yeah.
there's tons of them. But
The pun names help. It
yeah,
makes it a lot easier,
as
but
soon as you see them, you can tell who it is normally.
yeah, yeah. Like I already forgot his name. The dude that Invincible fought for the first time.
Oh yeah,
With
yeah.
the cannon.
Kill Cannon.
Kill
Kill
cannon.
Kill Cannon. Yeah.
So he's Eve's and
Mark's first.
Mark's first, yeah, super villain,
Yep.
and he got defeated by both of them the first
Absolutely.
time out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His costume had changed in the years between the Eve fight and Mark's fight. I think his red visor got bigger. I think when he's fighting
Yeah.
Mark, he's
Yeah.
overcompensating because he got beaten by a 12-year-old in a pink cape.
I like the treehouse.
Treehouse, super cute. Like again,
totally,
the whole best friend thing, like how the only girl who understood, the only friend that she had, of course, that's who she's gonna want to share her experience with and tell about it.
yeah.
And the friend just is scared, just reacts scared.
But I like that she has good memories of that treehouse. So later, when she leaves, it's in the series, right, where she leaves and she's living in Africa in a treehouse that she
built herself a cool because we talked about it and how it looked like a Kashyyyk treehouse from the holiday special.
Yeah,
and it's amazing. Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah, right.
I've just got the unknown adoption was another note because like obviously the parents didn't realize that they'd adopted her.
Right.
No, and to our knowledge, they still don't know that she's adopted. They just think of her
like it's pretty much like the Kents. Well, I guess the Kents knew, but it's like, but they're assholes. It's like
it's the inverse. Yeah. Lance Henriksen is in this episode. And it's like it's just one of those things that's like R.I.P. Lance Henriksen. He's amazing and he's in so much stuff.
Lance Reddick.
Yes, sorry, not Lance Henriksen. Who is also died? No, I don't know. Oh god, it's gonna happen now, isn't it? Lance Reddick, yes, yeah. R.I.P. Lance Reddick. He I can't remember if he was in season 1. Might not have been this character if he was, but he feels like someone who would have popped up because he's in everything all the time.
Lance Henriksen is very much alive.
Okay, good.
Good.
Is he going to be in the new Alien series?
That'd be great.
Lance Reddick was in this. Nice to hear his voice. Shame he's not with us anymore.
Yeah. Some pretty big tier people. Tatiana Maslany. There you go.
Yeah.
In the Lizard League, the head of the Lizard League.
Queen Lizard.
Stephen Root.
Yeah.
As
Brandyworth.
Yeah. All great performances. It's amazing the cast they have. And we didn't talk about this. Invincible season 2 is coming up, and there is a trailer, and there's a buttload of people in the credits for season 2.
Like to the point where you really have to pause it and just to read the names.
It's almost as if Amazon was so happy with the results of season 1. They're like, okay, now you can really start playing and add a bunch of characters. I mean, who knows how big a role Tim Robinson has or Ben Schwartz has, but still, like, I can't wait. I can't wait to see who Kirkman and company thought would be the perfect voice for.
And I think also the Seth Rogen of it, or Seth Rogen being a producer, helps. I think,
and also the cast for the first season,
cast for the first season is huge already. Like, Yeah, yeah.
And Steven Yeun and Sandra Oh, like you have a ton of
It's a
big,
hell of a big three to
and
start.
it also happened during COVID lockdown, I believe. So it was
Mm-hmm.
probably easier to get, because every character has like, except for like Steven Yeun and J.K. Simmons and Gillian Jacobs, like
Yep.
everyone could probably
Zazie
record
Beetz was
the
in the
whole
first
season.
season. Yeah,
You could probably
she was in it
record the
quite a lot.
whole stuff in a couple days.
Yeah.
And then you have a cast that burly and it becomes a hit. You can just say, hey, you want to do a couple days on the show? Amazon has money.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure Tim Robinson's playing maybe a minor character. It's probably in there for like, probably
A
does like a
couple of
day of work.
scenes. Yeah.
And they probably sprinkle him throughout the season or something. I don't know. I don't know how
Maybe.
it works, but that list was insane.
It's ridiculous. I mean, we've praised the cast of season 1 and how there's so many
Yeah.
people, like it's almost too many to name all the time. But then
And I
they
think
pop all of those up
limitations,
on the yeah.
Any limitations with the animation is sort of heightened by the performances.
Performance. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it doesn't matter. Like you're sitting there listening to J.K. Simmons. It doesn't matter if he's super animated and whatever.
Because he
You're
is
gonna
in his
listen to him.
voice. Like he's such a They all the performances were phenomenal.
Yeah. So of course you're going to be able to get more people. Like I feel like.
Yeah.
And then what happens in season 3?
Well, that's it.
Who do you get?
And I wanted to talk about season 3 as well a little bit. I was like, so this was mostly based on the Invincible Presents Atom Eve special.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if it hits it beat for beat. It felt like it did. All the stuff with her mother, I believe, like her siblings were the thing, the way that she was created, all of that, I think, is from that special, or like 2 episodes, or 2 issues, or whatever it was. There was also years later a Invincible Presents Atom Eve and Rexplode, and it's essentially it picks up after this, and it's her as a teenager joining the teen team, meeting Rex, them dating. And it gets into Rex's origin a little bit more as well. And I was like, that would be a great thing to do in between seasons 2 and 3, especially if they lean in and do more of the Rex and robot stuff that they've already hinted at in season 1. They've already done some of it in season 1. If they continue that forward through to season 2, as I'm sure they will, into season 3, which again, knowing from the comics, I'm sure that they will if they want to go that way. Having the Rex origin and more of Rex's backstory will make his character more than just Jason Sudeikis, not
Jason
Sudeikis, Mantzoukas, like heightened, jokey asshole character.
Yeah,
it would give him
like,
some.
That casting's perfect. Zachary Quinto's casting's perfect. Like it's crazy how they just got everybody. It has to be Amazon. Like Amazon, I can't believe they made this series to begin with.
Yeah, right.
But someone in Amazon with some sort of power read this book and was like, "We're doing this."
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was something that Seth Rogen brought to them.
Well, I mean, he's been attached and has been a producer on this stuff. Him and Evan Goldberg, his like long-term writing producing partner, they've been attached to Invincible in every way, shape, and form for years. And so I feel like they were helping push this. And so I'm sure that they were able to reach a lot of people and like reach out and just say, hey, you should be in this. Like, trust me, I'm putting everything behind this. And Amazon are like, and plus we'll pay you a lot. Like,
yeah. And I'm sure because it was an Image comic, Kirkman owns Omni-Man.
Oh, yeah.
And was 100%. probably approached or talked to Ed Boon or somebody in Mortal Kombat and was like, he's like, you know what, this will really help push the show. Or get this character in a game.
It works for everyone. Like it'll help the game, it helps Amazon, it helps the books, it helps also, Skybound
it helps
as a company, like it's under Image for when they're publishing, but they've branched out. They're doing games, they're doing everything. Like Kirkman's empire has grown. We both fell off of Walking Dead, but
I was going to say Walking Dead is so huge. Why not? Why wouldn't Amazon listen to Kirkman?
Exactly, and it gave Kirkman the ability to basically write blank checks. He can do kind of whatever he wants at this point in whatever medium, and because that was such a cash cow for them, for AMC in particular, but like for Skybound as a company that he did. Yeah.
I don't want a live action Invincible now. I just want this to go on forever.
Yeah.
Because I can't.
I
They made it kind of perfect.
Yeah.
They made this kind of perfect. It's like, I don't want to see an inferior Invincible. Invincible, the comic book, is amazing.
Though I'd read Inferior Invincible as a title.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be great.
Oh my gosh, that would be great. But I don't. And then this turned out way better than I thought it would. Like, just seeing the trailers for season 1, I'm like, oh, this is going to be so cool. I remember seeing like the motion comics.
Yeah, I remember those.
And then it was like watched on my iPod.
Yeah.
And then when I saw the trailer for season 1 of this, I was like, it kind of looks like the motion comics, just slightly better. But after watching the series, I'm like, no, like this is kind of the perfect way to do Invincible if it's not a comic book.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, if you go back to the well one more time, it's going to be the time that they fuck it up. And so, like, who do you get to play Invincible? Like, Steven Yeun is so great, and now his voice is ingrained in my head.
Yeah.
So when I reread the book, I'm hearing all these people.
Yeah.
So it's like unless you cast him in the live action roles, which is a bad call, it's not going to be.
He's way too old. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and also, what do you do? Because Mark in the books is white, like, and in this he is definitely mixed race. I think like he is, because they've got Sandra Oh and they've got Steven Yeun, so they're like, well, of course they're going to be their ethnicities. Like, that's just
technically
the way
he's always mixed race.
But I mean, yeah, he's
Viltrumite.
Yeah.
Viltrumite.
Okay.
No, but I know what you're I know what you're saying.
But then what do you do if you now do it live action? Because people that only know it from this only know him as like this Asian Viltrumite American like character. And it's like, so do you cast that way, or would you go with do you just make it whoever's best for the role? Like, and I feel like that is the way to do it. It's like whoever's best for the role, and then you cast around.
I feel like Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen, if they really want to produce a movie, animated sequel to the show, like really get us like that finale issue. If you guys haven't seen it, our last episode, or one of our last episodes, was talking about that. The final story arc of Invincible. Like, do that. Do that as a movie, and just do 2 or 3 movies. Nuts.
Like, there are arcs throughout Invincible that could be a movie.
The Viltrumite War being one of them. I feel like that should be season 4, or just do a movie. If
who knows?
Release it limited theatrical, maybe like a Fathom events or something. But still, because Amazon's releasing movies in theaters now. I don't know if you saw Air, but I saw that in the theater, and it was weird seeing an Amazon logo in front of a movie on the big screen.
They've been doing it for a while, and they do it like for awards recognition and stuff, so that they can be like nominated for things. And that's great. Like, it doesn't need to be a long lead. It can just be a 30 days in the theaters, and then it's straight away
category for animated film.
Exactly.
Put that money that you put into the live action, put it into the animation, and just go nuts.
Yeah.
Because, like, look at like Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Like,
fantastic.
Like, the art just kind of went up. It just went up a notch. It still looked like a episode of Batman the animated series, but the best animated series. So, like, imagine, man, if I could see Invincible on the big screen.
Invincible, the Viltrumite War, like, as a movie, like, holy crap. Yeah. And as you said, just a limited event, like just a limited run in the theaters, couple of weeks. It's there if you want it, but it'll be on Amazon instantly after. Like
Netflix did with Glass Onion.
Like they do.
Like they released it in theaters for like a couple weeks, and it made $1 bazillion.
Yeah, right. Despite the fact that
Invincible will.
I don't know if it will, but though I'd go see it. Of course, I'd go and see it, even though it's going to be out in a couple of weeks, and everyone knows it's going to be out a couple of weeks later. Like, of course you're still going to go and see it. Like, because why wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Kill Cannon, Brandy Worth, Highway Fight we've talked about, and it's amazing.
Oh, it's so good. If they did that in live action, it would just be a CG looking. That's the problem with live action.
Just a superhero fight, like a mess. Did you watch?
Yeah.
You guys have been watching and covering Secret Invasion. Like, it would be like that fight at the end of Secret Invasion where it's just like loads of powers, all the things. I
haven't watched the finale yet. I'm watching it, I think, tonight. But it's one of those things where if it's the same medium, that these characters that you're connecting with, that you fall in love with, and you're invested in Eve, this character, this animated character, if the fight's in animation too, you're already invested in that character.
Yeah.
You know, when I see Shazam and I'm invested into Zachary Levi, and then I see a cartoon flying around punching another cartoon, and it's like, what do I care? It's like a WandaVision. WandaVision, I was like, oh, okay, WandaVision's pretty great. Ends with a giant vortex swirly cloud in the sky and her CG punching another CG thing, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't.
And you and in live action, quote unquote, you're gonna be hiding stuff behind rubble and dust because it's easier than animating everything. Whereas in animation, in this clean animation style that they're doing for Invincible as well, like, you can see everything because you don't have to obscure anything, because we all know it's already animated. It's not trying to fool us into thinking that it's real.
Yeah. Jeremy Kelly mentions, if they do show it in theater, you're going to be in there with real Invincible fans. If they do release any Invincible content in a theater, Jeremy, we're going together. You live close enough. We're going together. Jeremy, I love. He hadn't read the book, and we kind of told him, hey, you should read the book because it's great. And he's like, all right, I bought like the first 3 compendiums, and I'm like, oh no, I hope he likes it because that's a lot of money.
He bought the first compendium and read it in like a night or like 2 nights or something like that.
But that's what ended up happening.
And then I got the other 2 like the next day.
Yeah, and now he's so on board, and it makes me happy. So again, anybody who hasn't read the books, anybody who's seen the show but hasn't read the books, read the books. Again, it's not going to spoil the show for you, because the show's different. I'm excited to read this Adam Eve special. I might go back and read the rest. I need to go find the rest of the sort of ancillary Invincible books, because I just literally, I'm like, I'm just going to stick to this. And it's one of the reasons why I started Invincible, is because Invincible started at issue 1 and ended at issue whatever it was,
142, 140 something
like that. It wasn't like picking up Spider-Man where I have,
jumping in on 400 and whatever.
Yeah. And so my whole thing was, it's like, I'm just going to read this. This is the book I'm going to read. I might get a couple of Science Dog bits every 10th episode or every 10th issue or whatever it was. And I'm like, that's fine. Yeah, that's right. Jeremy ordered all 3 compendiums sight unseen, and it put pressure. Like, I felt the pressure on me, because the compendiums I don't think are that cheap. And I think he got them at a good deal on Amazon, because Amazon is like, wants people to read Invincible.
Of course they do. Yeah. They really need to be pushing more Invincible things. Like, I've always thought this, but the properties that they brought in, like The Expanse is another one. It's like, why? Like, they've always got the books in stock, and that's great. But like, why are you not like got T-shirts and merchandise over all of this
Comixology
stuff?
Invincible should always be in the top carousel.
Should be on your banners. Yeah. Like, I'm sure that they do that with The Boys. I'm sure The Boys is always there being pushed, but it's like, why? And they've done spin-offs and all sorts. Like, they love The Boys, but come on, people. Invincible's better. It's so much better.
I haven't watched The Boys. I was thinking about watching it.
It's all right. I enjoy it. I enjoyed the show more than I enjoyed the books. I really didn't like the books.
What's nuts is we've been waiting over 2 years for season 2. Jesus, season 2. And everyone's like, fucking come on, let's show some stuff. And then finally the trailer comes out, and people are the like teaser with Alan in the Bergamot.
Bergamot, yeah.
And it's like, fucking finally, son. Everyone's like, fucking goddamn it, finally. You're telling
Get
us.
on with
But
it.
it's
Yeah.
great because it's meta and it's telling
Yeah.
you like if this shit takes time, we want to
And
make
they
it look
go
good.
through every detail of like why it takes time.
And so then another, I don't know, 7 months passes and they have this trailer and it finally tells us the date, November 3rd, and everyone's like, fucking finally.
Yeah.
Finally. But what's nuts is like they know all the fans are waiting for anything.
Yeah.
We're waiting for anything. And they just decide, oh, we have this whole hour-long special that you didn't even know about, and we're dropping it right now.
Yep.
And I was like,
it's
they
like,
have balls.
I forgot that Comic-Con used to do stuff like this. I used to get excited for Comic-Con even if I wasn't there, because you'd get things like this, surprise releases and things. And it feels like either they haven't done that in so long, or things that have done that I just don't care about.
Right.
So now I was like, because you text me the Mortal Kombat thing. You just text the words Mortal Kombat, and I was like, okay, Ralph's having a great time. Great, I'm good. Like, good for you. And then I like went over to the main bit of Twitter, and I just typed in Mortal Kombat, and I saw instantly, oh, Invincible, like Omni-Man's there. Like, that's rad.
I didn't want to spoil it. I don't want to go like, dude, Omni-Man's in Mortal Kombat.
I'm glad that you didn't. It was great.
Like, because Stevie did. She just sent me a thing and it had a Peacemaker. I'm like, oh, cool, Peacemaker. I'll watch this. And I was like, what? But my favorite thing about this Adam Eve drop is fans of Invincible, although they're all awesome, and I have yet to see someone be a real shitty Invincible fan.
I'm gonna choose to believe they don't exist.
We've had pitchforks and torches for like the last 2 years. We're just like, just give it to us.
Not even pitchforks and torches. It's just like begging bowls. Just be like, anything,
give us more. Right. And Kirkman and Amazon are like, with this Adam Eve thing, are like, steady.
Yeah. Like, stay on target.
Don't let them, like, let them suffer. They're going to be so happy.
It's a DJ with a beat drop. It's a DJ really waiting for that beat drop and overextending it. And it's just
was so great. It was so great because they could have teased this back when they teased the Alan at the Burger Mart.
But they since have tweeted and they were like, I mean, we did. It was in the trailer, like, because Eve is sat there with Pennyworth. No, I think she sat there with Pennyworth in that diner scene. Like, it just like in the next booth over or 2 booths over or something like that. Apparently, like they're like, no, it's there. We told you. It's like, you motherfuckers.
But fucking Kirkman. It's gotta be Kirkman. But I could just see Kirkman being like, it's been 2.5 years. There's a point. There's probably a point where Kirkman was like, oh man, this is taking too long. And they got where everybody was like, oh, and him feeling the pressure. But I guarantee you there's a point where he's like, fuck it, let's make him suffer. Yeah. His fake covers, his misleading covers.
So
the book.
Ralph and I both sold comics for a living around the same sort of time for about the same amount of time, weirdly. Like, so we'd be reading previews and we'd see everything that was coming up in comic books 3 months ahead of time. For nearly a decade, I did that. And it was just like, it kind of, after a while, well, at first it's exciting because you're like, oh, this is cool. This is nice. This is great. And then after a while, I'm just like, okay, like, whatever. I don't care anymore. And it kind of made me bored of reading a lot of books. Like Kirkman books, though, I was like, I'm going to see what you're saying. Because after a while, it just became bold-faced lies. Yeah. Like, to the point where he, like, when he surprise ended Walking Dead, there was 3 months of solicits after that he'd put in there. Comic shops had done their orders of things that were never in existence.
Yeah.
And there'd be fake covers, there'd be fake solicits, like the write-up text, things that he'd say in there about, like,
gotta get him on. We gotta get him on here. We gotta get him on here because I don't know if he'll answer us.
Yeah.
Yes. But that's what's great is we've been waiting forever and we know it's coming, and the trailer with Alan at the Burger Mart just said coming in 2023 probably, or was it wasn't a defined thing.
Hopefully like late 2023 maybe.
So I'm driving down to San Diego and I get a text from Stevie and she sent me this artwork of all the Invincible characters on a bus going to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And there was this big old long thing. Invincible, it's back, it's coming. And I'm like,
Where's the
there's
date?
no
Where's the
date.
date? Where's the date? Yeah.
Where's the date? And Kirkman knows. He knows. We all want to know the fucking date. And
you've told us 3 times now that it's coming this year. Okay, cool, we get it. But like,
and so we do finally get a date, November 3rd. I think they're dropping 4. We're gonna have to just do 4 consecutive days.
I've got that weekend off, so
or
good.
2 episode 1 in one the first episode, then follow up with two more. Yeah. I'm not going to do a marathon sit, and I like these episodes being individual issues.
They're sort of 45-minute episodes, like, of a show as well. It's like I don't want to do them like all in one go. I like breaking them up.
After we just said we want a movie,
that's different.
but what I'm just Kirkman. We need to get him on. Just because I want to know about this shit, like people waiting, because I know he's just like sitting there. He knows he's got this thing that everybody's wants, but he's done it through Image. He owns the property, so it's not the studio being like, dude, you got to get something out. He doesn't have that kind of pressure. I'm sure Amazon is like, probably there's some maybe pressure, but they're producing it, so they know how these things take to get done. And
he's become such a powerhouse, I feel like, in the world of comics and comics related media. Like, he can kind of just dictate the terms, and he can be like, trust me, I know what I'm doing. Like, the dude is a hit maker.
So he puts all the names of the people, and I didn't see Kevin Michael Richardson, which I don't know if they've recast the Mahler twins, but I hope not. Or
I didn't freeze frame it, and there was so many after a while that the only way you're going to see it is
they show all of them.
Yeah,
they show all of them, and you're like, great, I love all these people. And they go, and then season 2, and they start putting up just as there's enough space to put up just as many names.
Yeah,
but they leave an empty spot in the middle.
Yeah,
and as you're watching the names come up, you're like, I wonder who.
There's one.
I wonder who that middle is. I'm like, there's someone's going to be in that middle, and then it says Peter Cullen. And I'm like, fucking Optimus Prime.
Yeah,
and then it cuts to him as a Viltrumite leader, which I don't believe we've seen.
I think it's someone from the comics. I think it is. I think it's what's his name? The leader of. I mean, I kind of don't want to say, but
we'll just leave it.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where it's like, even that, Kirkman was like, leave a big old gaping hole in the middle without a name, because we want people to all eyes on this spot. Even if you don't catch every name, you see that big empty void.
That there's one coming. And I feel like that's something that plays best at Comic-Con as well, because like Peter Cullen, obviously he's a name, he's Optimus Prime, but like, I mean, hell, I remember back when they were doing the first Transformers movie, not the animated, but like in 2007 movie, and originally he wasn't cast, was he? That was a petition to, like, they went and then got him later, because they were like, no, because everyone was a big backlash of like, you can't do Optimus Prime without Peter Cullen. And the dude's excellent at what he does. He does that voice. And that's what he does. But like,
the casting is so amazing. Like Michael Dorn is Battle Beast.
Yeah, there was so many that I'm just like,
damn.
Okay, cool. I mean, Jeremy mentioned it a little while ago here, was when they had John Hamm in there, you think he's going to be a huge part, and then nope.
Right.
And it's like
what superhero is he going to play?
Yeah. Because
I mean, he would have been a great Nolan.
He would have been a really good. He would have been a great anyone, because he can do a lot of different things. But I also feel like that's perfect John Hamm, because he is always willing to do something goofy and silly and very small.
We theorized. What's his name? Who's the guy who plays Negan?
Oh yeah. It's a triple barrel. It's a three barrel. Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yes.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
A couple of years ago, while they were getting ready to do season 2 and 3, he was holding a compendium of Invincible. I think number 2.
I think the second one. I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was number 2, and everyone was speculating, he's either Thrag, but he's probably Conquest.
Yeah.
Because I think Compendium 2 would have Conquest in it.
Yeah.
Name not mentioned. So are they saving more stuff for when we actually get closer to November? Because it's only July,
Maybe.
August,
Maybe.
September, October. We have 4 months before the next season
Or
comes out.
or he's in the last episode of season 2 as Thrag or someone else.
Right.
And then he's the main villain of 3 or something like that. Like I could see that being a thing where it's like they don't announce his name in advance. He's just there at the end.
And what other names could they be hiding?
Exactly. Like these are the
Josh
announced.
Keaton. Josh Keaton is one of the voices in the new one, which I noticed they didn't mention Kevin Michael Richardson because I was like, oh, I was hoping for that Green Lantern the animated series,
Okay.
Hal Jordan Kilowog crossover. But Josh Keaton, I guess, more well known for his role in like the animated Spider-Man series.
Okay.
And he did a voice in the Across the Spider-Verse as his character from there.
Yeah. I mean, everyone did.
He's Hal Jordan. I freaking love him as Hal Jordan in Green Lantern animated series. So I'm curious to see who he plays. Dude, it's so weird that this book that I absolutely just loved.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for this book, live action Star Wars wouldn't exist. This show wouldn't exist because it was literally when we found out about the series.
You and I were two of the people. Maybe I can't remember.
Yeah. You sent me a DM on Instagram with it was like some sort of teaser image or some article or something, and I was like, oh shit, fuck, and I was like, I'm like, oh, do you want a podcast? And we just like set it up. It was set it up so fast. And I just it's one of those things where I feel weird because like I love doing live action Star Wars. I love talking about Star Wars. Star Wars has some problematic stuff, but we always look at the positive side of things. But when a new Invincible thing drops, I cannot.
There is a level of excitement that's different. It's different.
I don't know if you can tell I'm a little more fired up.
Yeah,
talking about this shit, even when we get new Star Wars. And I think it's the thing where I'm excited with Star Wars when there's a long gap and then all of a sudden, new Star Wars. When we're getting new Star Wars series like 3 times a year, it's great. I'm happy. But dude, when I get like one Invincible episode for the first time in 2 years, like I'm amped. And it was so good. It was so good. And it's such a like bittersweet story, and it's not happy, and it's not a feel-good story. By the time it gets to the end, you're like just like gutted. And when she hugs her adopted mom, her adopted mom,
who seems like a sweet person, like she's really does try to be a nice
or when she changes the molecules in the photo to have her real
idealized mom, family,
Brandyworth,
Buzz,
but the kids,
but
the brothers and sisters in a normal,
like, as if they'd been absolutely fine, sort of thing.
It's just like I'm like, it's a fucking cartoon,
and then
it's a goddamn cartoon, and I'm like, this is like making.
And what's her line? Is this the only one you get, sort of thing, like, or basically like looking at it's like,
and
it's the family. It's like this is what she's got. She's got to sort of just deal with the one you get.
And what's just wonderful is Kirkman in true fashion. Meanwhile, this is what Mark Grayson's up to, being a total spaz,
just being
goofball, fucking spaz,
absolute goof.
And so from now on, when you watch the episodes. I'm going to go back and rewatch season 1 before 2. Cool. And maybe, I don't know, we can do another episode because I always want to do Invincipod.
I hope I can. I'll have to see the time and things.
I've always understood the dynamic of Eve and Mark. It's very clear in the comics, but seeing this backstory, I understand it even more. And Eve had a broken childhood and she was able to move on from that. Mark had a great home.
It's and she's always had the found family thing, and she was in the teen team before, which is why I really hope between seasons 2 and 3 they do the Invincible presents Atom Eve and Rexplode, because I think that's a really good story. It shows that their relationship wasn't always bad either. Like he wasn't always a cheating dickhead. Like they genuinely had a lot of affection for each other, which is something that the comics do well. She's mad at him for years, for like so long in the books, but they do reconcile in a way that it's like, it wasn't all bad. We weren't all bad together. Like there was something, there was a reason. It's the same with like most relationships. There's a reason that you guys were together in the first place, even if it didn't work out. Like, yeah. It's good. And then we get a tease of Nolan at the end there, like, which again,
he's struggling.
Which we haven't seen in, well, I mean, we kind of have in the books, but in the series, but the book readers know how that struggle and that the way that tease is framed in this is like he's all bad, but he's conflicted, and that conflict plays out.
Here's Jeremy Kelly has a question. He says, my only question was, it seemed like she was using the regenerative abilities, which I understand in the comics, to not come up until she had essentially died, and then it was a surprise. Is he correct? I don't remember. Jeremy's probably read these the most recently as all of us. I have a gap. I started rereading it again, and then I reread the end for our previous episode.
I read all the way through. It was after season 1, so you're talking 2 years ago now, and then I read the end again.
But this has a definitive like rules on what she can do and what she can't, with living tissue and stuff. But I'm not sure.
I don't know if earlier in the story in the comics she could like regenerate a little bit, like she could heal a scratch, but like if she was going to lose an arm, she'd lose an arm. Like, I
feel like it totally makes sense if she can manipulate atoms. But I mean, if she can't do living tissue, we see her heal herself. So yeah, there's something.
There's a point in this when they're in the lab and they're fighting in the lab. Like, she goes full Phoenix Force. Like, she shows that she is kind of like on the level of the Viltrumites, like of Omni-Man and Mark. If she goes there, she's as powerful as any hero that is in this story. She's mega powerful.
Or who's to say she's tissue and flesh?
Well, that's it. What is her?
It might just be pure
molecular
energy.
Created. Yeah, how is she?
I mean, she does bleed and get beat up and stuff, but who's to say she's,
I mean, I'm sure she is flesh and blood, but like, it's what is the molecular like build up of her? It's probably not the same as the living things around her that she can't manipulate. Because like, even in the books, like, she can't change Mark into other things. She can't change people into stuff. Like, but she can heal. So yeah, I'm sure that it's just to do with her makeup. It's good. She's an amazing character. I'm glad that we got more time with her, because season 1 gave more time to Amber, which was interesting. She's a character that you don't really like by the end of season 1, or kind of for a while in the comics, like after a while, but you understand where she's coming from, but you're like, yeah, but you're just not, you two aren't right together. Like, you need someone a bit more normal, and Mark can't be that. So you want Mark to be together with Eve. And in this, they're giving us more time with Eve here. And I hope they do more. I hope they do another one of these later.
Yeah.
It makes me excited for the possibility, because if they're willing to do this, it makes me go, hey, if they're as invested in this series as it really feels like they are, then we might be able to get that Astounding Wolfman spin-off. Like a smaller, it doesn't need to be as big of a series, but if they're going to take 2 years between seasons, what about in that year in between you have an Astounding Wolfman?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's already a Super Dinosaur show out there. I think on Netflix.
That was his.
It was
for made for kids. Like, the comic was pitched as a not enough kids read comics. Here is this, and I think it wasn't Kirkman, but in the same vein, they did like what was it? Something Cop. I can't remember what it's called. It was Super Cop, not Super Cop. I don't know. It was another comic that Image put out where some comic book creators' 8-year-old brother came up with a character, and so they wrote it together. So the 8-year-old brother got
Axe Cop.
Axe Cop.
Axe Cop.
Yep.
Yeah, that was what's his name? Ron Swanson.
Oh, did he do the voice for it?
Yeah, he's the voice of Axe Cop, which totally makes sense.
Totally makes sense. He looks like that sort of character. All Axe Cops are bastards? I don't know. Hey, Cap.
Yeah. I'm excited
great.
for this. It's so good, and I can't believe this is getting done after all these years of not Invincible.
Yeah.
For them to do this on this level, with this sort of care, and with it it feels like no notes from the studio. It feels like Kirkman's just able to do what he wants. It was surprising because you're watching this story about this girl who gets superpowers, and all of a sudden one of the characters says the F word, and you're like, oh yeah, this is
that. Yeah.
And those guys, she turns their ski masks into metal, and that dude dragging himself off was amazing. Nick Offerman.
The background there is
but it was just I can't believe they're doing it, and this was a complete surprise. I was so excited. I was like, let's do an Invincipod for the trailer and the Omni-Man news, but then they dropped
we were going to, but then like they dropped this, and we're like, guess we're doing this. And we waited until Friday. Like we could have done this any point and been excited about it, but we waited, which is good because I don't have to run us to work. We can we hadn't, especially knowing now that it was an hour long, like we got the time to sort of sit and watch it.
Today's actually super busy for me.
Oh, wow. Okay. But it's Friday, and I feel like we're going to keep the Invincible Fridays thing as our release schedule. Like, obviously, that first weekend when they drop season 2, we'll probably be going like multiple episodes over multiple days. But it'll be Friday is definitely going to be when we release.
Yeah. Because the shows came out on Friday, right?
Yeah. And they were always pushing like the hashtag Invincible Fridays thing. I don't know if anyone other than us really jumped onto it and used it that much, but we still use it. So
we use it and if you look up Invincible Friday, like our shit shows up closer to the top. So anybody who stumbles across it, maybe when they start reusing it for
hopefully they do
shows released,
it would help us.
Yeah.
What else would
tell
help
your friends?
Us? Exactly. That's exactly where I was going. If you like Invincible, if we've got you into Invincible, or you enjoy us as a companion to Invincible, which is all we ever really want to be, tell your friends, get your friends to watch Invincible, and then get them to listen to this or watch this. Subscribe on YouTube as well.
There's only a handful of Invincible podcasts.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's just called the Invincible Podcast. And I listened to a few of those. They're great. And then we might be the only other ones. So like I feel like we should be able to start getting some creators in here of the
it would be fun. It would be really fun.
Come on, guys, you guys got an hour to probably hang out with us.
Yeah.
All we're gonna do is gush at you. If you don't want that, then I guess sorry. But...
Some people aren't comfortable with it, and I understand that. Some people hate getting praised, but we can be chill. We can be normal.
We have questions.
And
we can be assholes too. If you want us to, we want to know about you trolling everybody about these fucking releases. So we can do that too.
But we're all for it. Like I quite like the trolling. I think it's fun. It's what Kirkman does best. He's always been great at that. And yeah, Ottley and everyone involved on the art, Corey Walker, Crabtree, FCO, everyone involved in that book. Sina Grace was editing for a long time in the middle there. Everyone. Aubrey Citizen, I think, was another one who's another editor. It's funny. It's one of these books that I just know all these names because I would read it and I would Invincipals, like the letters pages at the end. When I was reading the individual issues, I'd always read through that stuff. So you get to know all these other people connected to the book. Brilliant. Love it so much.
Read the book. Read the
Read
book.
the book. You've got time. Like
There's
Jeremy
no
Kelly did
excuse for
it.
to spoil you.
Jeremy Kelly did it in a week. Like it'll probably take longer. That's like I'm not sure how healthy that is, but
it is
you
a page turner though.
It is a page turner.
Kirkman knows how to end on a cliffhanger to make you want to read the next issue, and when it's just sitting right there.
But also, this was a book that was coming out before comics went to 20 pages. So like you get a full 32-page comic book for most of the run of this series. So, you know, you get a bunch. Like they feel like more. Like you fly through them, but there's a bunch in every issue. There isn't just an issue where nothing happens.
Yeah. So I'm assuming there's going to be another trailer for season 2.
I would think
we'll
so.
Be
Closer
here for
to maybe a month before.
And maybe we'll come up with an excuse to get here earlier.
I'm sure we can do
it. Yeah. Yeah. All right, man.
I don't have anything else. I think that's it. You've got a busy day, so I'm going to let you go do that. I might go break into a festival.
Okay, I probably don't know if anybody noticed this, but I purchased a record while we were on.
I didn't. What record did you purchase?
Carnival of Souls from Waxwork Records.
Nice. I just got a new record player today.
Oh, cool.
So I'm gonna go and listen to something, and I also found somewhere that had the Smashing Pumpkins album, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, for I say reasonable, it's still over £100, but it's a lot cheaper than I've seen it in the last 10-15 years. So I might buy that.
All right, go for it. Treat yourself.
Yeah, they should release the soundtrack for this on vinyl. They're doing the Avatar Book 1 on vinyl in November, so they should release Invincible. That'd be cool. I'm sure we'd cover that.
Oh, yeah. I get that.
Until the next time that we see you.
We don't have a sign off. Or we do. Look up into the sky. What was it?
Keep watching the skies. Keep watching the skies.
Yeah, I don't
like it.
Sounds
we'll
weird.
try and think.
It's like a motivational. It's like a motivational animated GIF that my mom would post on Facebook.
Yeah, it's a little bit
with the sparkly flower.
Stevie just asked what record player. It was Audio Technica LP60 or whatever it is. Nothing fancy. Nothing like you guys is much nicer. But it was a good price and it's better than the one that I had before. So I just
Jeremy Kelly says, "Thanks for hooking me."
Anytime.
Thanks for enjoying it and not being bitter that you spent $100 on 3 books because some 2 yahoos are gushing about a book that's about punching things and
space aliens. Until next time, folks, go follow us on Live Action Star Wars and we'll see you on Wednesday there.
Yeah.
Bye?
I feel like bye everybody.
Bye
Bye everybody. Bye.